In this video, we will show you everything how we take care of our chickens, from making our own drinker to our own coop or chicken tractor, as you want to call it, because it is a movable coop that works very well for meat birds. And we'll also show you the process of moving them out after a couple of weeks in the brooder. Welcome to Family Homesteading of West Texas. We are a homeschooling homesteading family of 9. We grow, cook, and preserve most of our food from scratch. I just received a text that our chicks are at the post office. I need to pick them up. So I will be making some immune water for them. For that I use garlic, apple cider vinegar, and some raw honey. And I give that to them for the first couple of days. I don't have exact measurements for this, but I peeled some garlic. Now I will use this garlic press. So the garlic is all in here. Those tiny pieces will stay in the water. The chicks will eat it. Now I'm going to add apple cider vinegar. I'm adding the raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar. And I will add a 1/4 cup. I'm making this a strong water, and then I will just later dilute it. And then I will also add a 1/4 cup of honey. And this will probably give us about 4 gallons of water. We have a bunch of chicks. Hopefully this will last for the 4 days that I wanted to give them this water. Okay, so now I'm going to add some very warm water. And the reason I'm adding it very warm is for the honey to melt and for the garlic to get absorbed into the water. And I will just leave this here, and I'll go pick up the chicks, and we'll get the rest later. Let's go home. This is the music I'm listening to going home with the chicks. Okay, so I'm gonna divide this. I'm gonna use half of this. I'll make 2 gallons now, 2 gallons tomorrow, or whenever I need to refill it. And now we're going to fill the rest of this up with water. Okay, so these racks have been a game changer for us. We put the drinker on there, and that helps for them not to get as much of the shavings in there. We're using paper shreddings this time. It's much cheaper. Okay, we will dip each chick beak in the water, and then we will count them. Okay. 1, 2. McMurray Hatchery seems to always send us a surprise chick, and this is a surprise chick today. I think the children are most excited about the surprise chick, so we have no idea what breed it is. So these are 53 plus the surprise chick is 54 on this side. They all look happy. The other side has 56. I ordered 105, so they sent us 4 extra. So we have a heat lamp in here. The heat lamp is connected with a thermometer, so when it gets cold it'll be turned on, and when it's hot it'll be off. And then we have a clear bulb in here for them to have light, because when we close the lid it's quite dark in here. And that one is not connected with a thermometer, so that one will be on all the time, and then the heat lamp will come on when it gets cool. this is the thermometer we're using, and you can adjust it. This has been a game changer for us. I know it has saved us so many chicks, because when it gets cool at night, but it's still hot during the day, it's very complicated to keep it the right temperature. And chicks, when they're small like this, they like it pretty warm, like around 90.
So we know that we will only have the chicks in the brooder for about 2 weeks, and it is time to start with the chicken coop, or chicken tractor as we call it, to get it done and ready for them after a couple of weeks in the brooder. My husband and my sons built 2 of the same chicken tractors. My husband was more involved in the first one. The second one was mostly made by the boys, and I'm going to give you as much details as I can, but I wasn't in the process the whole time, but I'll give you as much as I can on that. We used cattle panels, and then we used 4x4 studs in the front and in the back of the tractor, and then 2x4s for the sides. He's showing you what he uses to attach the cattle panels to the 2x4s on each side. We used 3 cattle panels for each tractor. He welded them together. We didn't get any of the welding filmed. And then after the welding was done, he attached them to the 2x4s, which are going to be the edges that are going to be on the ground after it's been done. After he has attached both sides of the cattle panel to a 2x4, he's making it into a hoop. I guess you'll have to turn it over first. It was the wrong way on the ground, and I can already see that this is going to be pretty sturdy because he lets it fall and it didn't fall apart, so that means it's pretty sturdy. And he's making a groove for the cattle panel to fit into the stud that he's going to put on the front or back. And since we will be moving these tractors quite often, we want to make sure that it's strong and sturdy. They use angle iron to attach to the corners so they won't tear apart when we move the tractor. And we use chicken wire for the bottom 3 feet of the chicken tractor so that no chickens can come out or predators in. And we have an electric staple gun that he used to attach that to the 2x4 as well. Chicken wire is not very enjoyable to work with because you could get scrapes and cuts pretty easy. You have to be super careful. So after the chicken wire is done, it is now time to make it into a coop. And the boys are using straps because it would not be possible to do it by hand. It will be too heavy. But with straps, it is very doable. And I don't know the exact measurements of the chicken tractor, but we used the full length 16 feet cattle panel, and then we would just make it the height to where I could comfortably stand in the chicken tractor. It wouldn't have to bend down. And I believe they're 50 inches wide, so we used 3 of them. That's quite a decent size of chicken coop. And there we see it coming into shape. It is so nice to see when it becomes the shape that it is supposed to be when you're building something. And I was so proud of the boys. With very little help, they managed to finish the chicken tractor almost by themselves. So the boys had already figured out the dimensions. They had cut the lumber into the proper size, and so they knew exactly how far they need to strap the cattle panels together so that it would fit the size and be the height that we actually wanted it. For the last part of this, my husband was actually home and he was able to join in with the boys. They're closing off the back and the front, also using cattle panel and chicken wire. They've put on the chick lift in the back of the chicken tractor for easy moving. They secured the angles with the angle iron that he prepared earlier in the video. They did also use a welder to weld the cattle panel on the back and on the front, and then they also attached it to the bottom frame. And he is going to make the frame for the door. I guess he hasn't thought of it that he actually needed this space here, so he's cutting the cattle panel back off that he just attached to the frame, and he will mend the frame for the door here. and he used some aluminum brackets that we've gotten at, I think, the Home Depot. That makes for a very sturdy frame for the door, and also the door itself was also made with some brackets. And the frame for the door is finished. It looks very sturdy. And the only thing left now is put the tarp over it. And with the high winds we get in West Texas, we have to really secure the tarp. We use wind straps for extra support on the tarp, as well as some washers and screws, and then they put it down by the frame of the tractor so that it wouldn't go anywhere. We ordered the tarps and the wind straps both off of Amazon. They're easy to find there, and they do make a big difference because it gets windy and it gets flattered. This wind strap really helps the tarp to hold it down. And the chicken tractor is all finished. Now it is time for us to make a drinker for proper drinking when we move the chicks. And these are all the supplies that we will use for the drinker. I just had this random idea that I wanted a drinker, something that was easy and it was durable and it was reliable. So Daniel and I put it together on a Saturday afternoon and we had a very good time. We used a 4-inch PVC pipe, and I bought a 6-foot long, but we're going to make 2 drinkers, so we're going to make them 3 feet each. And then we will put drinker cups in there. We put them 6 inches apart on each side of the pipe. We need to pre-drill the holes for the cups. So we were able to put 5 cups on each side, so 10 total, and that's a good amount for the chickens that we have in the coop. And then comes the fun part, where we glue everything together. We use the primer and then the glue so that it would not leak on us. This is the top part where the water will come into the drinker. We made it so that we could attach a garden hose to the top. Our intention wasn't to make it like a pressurized water system. We'd rather just have like a container and then have a free flow. And then we were ready to attach the cups to each side. That was pretty exciting. After the cups were all attached, we just need to cap off the ends and it's ready to use. If I were to make this drinker again, I would not cap this drinker off with caps like this. I would make it so that I have access to the cups to replace them if I needed to. My 5-year-old was filming, so you can't quite see what's going on, but we're capping off the ends, and there it's done. And now we're going to get a little barrel ready so that we can attach it to the barrel of water, and then we wouldn't have to worry about water all day. We drilled a hole in the little barrel, and then we used this little fitting that we got, and then this valve that fits right into it, and this garden hose will go onto the valve, and then the garden hose will go onto the drinker. As you can actually see, this is the last part we're adding to the drinker, and that's the attachment that goes onto the garden hose. And then we're ready to use it. That is so exciting. You'll have clean water for the chickens. So the chickens are 2.5 weeks old. It is time to move them out of the brooder. They've done very well. They've grown very well, but I know it's warm enough and they're big enough to be outside now. So both the feeder and the drinker are ready here for the chickens. I will just fill up the feeder and the drinker is already full of water, and then we will bring them out into their new home. And I think the chickens, the children, and I are all equally excited for this day. They get a new home and we get to empty the brooder. That's such a relief. And we try to move the chicken tractors every day to give them fresh ground. We don't have a whole lot of grass, but at least that gives them a clean floor to walk on. It's fairly easy to move the chicken tractors. It just we have to kind of go slow so we wouldn't run any of the chickens over. They get the hang of it after a couple of moves, but it just takes a little bit of time. So we detach the water system when we're moving, and after we're done moving, we attach it again and refill it, and we're ready to go again. We did lose a couple of chicks while they were still in the brooder. I think we lost 9 of them, so we moved out 100 of them. And it is possible that we could probably lose 1 or 2 more, but it's very likely that most of them will probably stay alive. They should only be out here for about 6 weeks, and then they should be ready to butcher.
As I was editing the video, I realized that not all the details were filmed, so I'm going to show you a couple of things. You see there's no lift on this one here to move it. What we do is we use these little wheels, and then we attach them when we want to move. It is harvest season, so I'm still waiting for my husband and our son to have time to build a lift. On this one here, we actually do have a lift. Let me show you here. And this is just called the Chick Lift, and we ordered it from chicklift.com. The other thing I noticed is they didn't film anything when they were making the doors. The doors are also lined with kettle panel and then a mesh kind of thing. And this is a very strong, we have had many different kinds of chicken tractors and they don't last very long. So I'm thinking this one is very sturdy and it should last a long time. And we have the drinker that we made in here. It's very, very handy. We don't have to constantly worry about water. And this one here doesn't have a drinker yet. We have the supplies for that. We just need a time to actually put it together. So these here are still drinking out of that 3-gallon drinker, and it sure makes a difference. We have to give them water much more often.
That's going to be all for today's video. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I would like it if you would subscribe and like this video. You're also free to share this with your friends. See you in the next video. Bye.